Hello everyone, my name is Bhavna Singh. I am working as an assistant professor at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management, Gurgaon. This is an online tutorial on software engineering. So let's begin with today's session. Students, in today's lecture we will cover all these topics of Unit 2, that is what is software project planning, what are its various goals and importance of project planning, what is size estimation, and what are the various techniques of size estimation like lines of code, that is LOC, and function count. Now let us understand first what is software project planning. Once a project is found to be feasible, software project managers undertake project planning. It provides a framework that enables the manager to make reasonable estimates to resources, cost, and schedule. That means once the managers, they take requirements from the customers, and after doing the feasibility study of the on the basis of those requirements, what they do, they start doing the planning about the development, that what should be the estimate and how to complete that project within the schedule or within the specified budget that was specified by the customers. So basically it is one of the most important phase in the development of a software, and it is the process in which we estimate, we schedule, and we assign the project resources in order to deliver the end product with the suitable quality to the customers. And therefore it is very much essential for all of us to start doing or start calculating about the development, or start doing the planning of the process, so that it can be done in an efficient manner. And this software project planning, it is the responsibility of the software managers. They are only responsible for planning and scheduling the project development. What they do, they manage the work so that it will be completed to the required standard, and they monitor each and every step to the progress to check that whether all the events they are conducting on time and within the budget. So it is the responsibility of the project manager to look after all these planning, and to do all the planning with utmost care and attention. Now the question arises that why it is important, why project planning is very much important in the development process. Because if we do not plan accordingly, or if we do not do any planning in advance, then that can lead to huge mistakes, or that can lead to overrun of cost, or you can say that can lead to occurrence of risk. So to avoid all these situations, we have to do the careful planning right from the beginning of the project, so that we can be able to avoid the costly mistakes, and it provides an assurance that the project will be executed and it will be able to accomplish all its goal on the schedule and within the specified budget. Now let us discuss the goals of software project planning. The first one is to establish reasonable plans for performing the software engineering and for managing the software project. That means with the help of proper planning, we'll be able to design proper plans or design reasonable plans, so that we can do the development process, or we can do the engineering of the product very effectively, and we can manage the software project in efficient manner. Then the second is to identify the scope of the project, estimate the work involved, and create a project schedule. That means with the help of proper planning, we'll be able to identify what is the scope of the project, whether it will be successful or not, and what should we do or what should we not do. So all these things we will be able to estimate with the help of a proper planning, and we'll be able to create a project schedule that will make us understand that whether we'll be able to finish that development or complete the development process on time or not. Then the next is to document the estimates for use in planning and tracking the software project. That means with the help of these, we will be able to estimate the resources, we'll be able to estimate the cost or the schedule that can be used in planning, and we with the help of these planning will be able to track the software project, or we'll be able to track the completion project. Then the next is to plan and document activities and commitments. That means with proper project planning, we'll be able to identify all the things that can be done in future, and with the help of these planning, we'll be able to document each and everything, so that it will help us in future to with the development process. Now, what is the importance of project plan? Project plan is very much important because its purpose is to establish reasonable plans for performing the software engineering and for managing the software project. It involves developing estimates for the work to be performed, establishing the necessary commitments. That means it is very much important doing the project planning, because it defines the entire plan that we have to follow. It gives us the entire blueprint, or it gives us the entire workflow that is to be followed while doing the development of a product. So with this proper planning, we'll be able to estimate all the things in advance, like what would be the cost, and how much time it will require, how much efforts will be required in the completion process, and what will be the constraints that can be applied, and within how much time it will required. So all these things, they can be planned accordingly, and this will help the managers also to estimate all these things, like all resources, time, cost, scope, project work. All these things they can plan in advance, so that it will not leads to any failure in the future. These are the activities that we have to follow while developing or executing a project. The first step is deciding what needs to be done. That means first of all we have to decide that whether we have to develop a project or not, or if we want to develop it after doing the feasibility study, then the next step is what we have to do. Then the second is estimating cost. We have to estimate the amount that will be required. Then next we have to estimate all the resources that will be required in the development process. Then we have to estimate the project duration, that is the time it will take to complete. Then personnel selection to undertake the project. That means how much effort will be required, or if it is required, then how much training will be required to give to the persons, or if it is required, then we have to recruit or we have to train the persons accordingly. Then we have to define the responsibilities, that who will take care of the execution, who will take care of the development process, who will take care of the testing process. Then we have to divide the work into the team members. Then we have to do the proper scheduling of all these resources and all these things. Then at the end we have to identify all the risk, and we have to analyze those risks if there are any, and we have to take proper measures to control those risks, so that it will not lead to the proper or to the entire system failure. So these are the activities that we have to follow step by step in order to execute a project. Now we will discuss the various components of a software project plan. The first component is the introduction one. Introduction part, it gives a brief description about all the objectives of the project and all the objectives of the product that we are delivering to the customer, or that we are going to deliver to the customer. It also describes that all the items that to be delivered to the customer, together with the delivery dates and the budget and all the things that are required for the software project management. So all these things together with the budget, together with the date, and so it's a complete overview of the project we are providing in this introduction part. Then the second is the project organization. Project organization means we are describing the entire process in terms of the activities, like what would be the designing or testing, and what would be the functions like project management and configuration management. All these things we describe in this organization part, and we define all the responsibilities that will be given to the particular individuals. Then the third component is the managerial process. In this process, this describes all the priorities for the management, or it describes the staffing plan. That means how much personals are required, how many number of persons are required in order to complete the project, and the duration for which they are required is also listed. And in this, all the constraints that must be specified to the project are also described. Then the next component, that is the technical process. It is responsible for providing the support functions, like what would be the quality assurance, what would be the test plans, and what methods or tools and techniques, or what hardware, software we will use. So all these details regarding the techniques, regarding the technologies, regarding the tools, hardware, software, all these details, they are described in this component. Then the next we have the work packages, schedule and budget. In this, all the details regarding the budget, regarding the time schedule that we will follow to complete the product development, the total amount of resources that will be required, the detailed schedule is given for each of the component of the project. So all these things, they are included in this component. Then the next we have the additional components, like the we also consider about the security features, the hardware procurement plans, what would be the installation plans, how will we provide the training, what would be the maintenance plans. So all these activities, they are considered in the additional components. So these components, they work together in order to succeed the software project planning. Now the next we will discuss about the software size estimation. Software size estimation is an important activity in the software engineering that is used to estimate the size of an application or component in order to be able to implement other program management activities such as cost estimation or schedule progress. The software engineer is responsible for generating independent estimates of the software size throughout the life cycle. That means it is an essential part of the software project management, and estimating size, it also helps the project managers so that they'll be able to predict that how much effort and how much time will be required to build the project. So various measures we will use in this project size estimation, and it is an important activity because on this, you can say, on this the entire workflow is dependent, and so therefore it is very much essential to estimate the size in advance so that we'll be able to identify all other resources and efforts and time that will be required. So we can estimate the size of the project with the help of some techniques like lines of code, function count, or total number of processes, or number of entities in the ER diagrams. So all these measures or all these techniques, they are used to estimate the size of the project. Therefore it will be very much helpful for the software project managers, and it is therefore it is considered as an essential part of the management project. Now in this session we will discuss about the two techniques of the software size estimation. That is, one is the lines of code, we also call it as LOC, and the second one is function point. We will discuss each one of them in detail in the coming slides. Now we will discuss lines of code first. Lines of code means LOC. A line of code is any line of program text that is not a comment or blank line, regardless of the number of statements or fragments of statements on the line. This specifically includes all lines containing program header, declarations, and executable and non-executable statements. That means it is measuring the project size in terms of the number of lines of statements or the instructions that are written inside the source code. For example, whenever we write a source code in any of the programming languages, then the number of instructions inside that code, that is, one statement is one LOC. One instruction is one LOC. Instruction is any line of the programming code. So that one instruction is known as one LOC. That means one line of code. So this line of code, it counts the total number of lines that are present inside the source code in a project, and therefore it is used by many of the software experts to predict the required size of the various components of the software, and then they add them to get the total size of the program. But one thing is to notice that we do not include any comments or we do not include any headers in this line of code. We only count the number of executable statements, but ignore the comments and the header section of the code. So this LOC, it depicts the entire number of instructions that are present inside the programming language, or that are present inside the code, programming code. So this is an example of LOC, and in this example you can see that there are number of instructions are 5. So the LOC, that is the line of code, it becomes 5 because one instruction means one LOC. Two instructions means two LOC. So therefore in this example there are 5 statements, or you can say there are 5 instructions. So the LOC becomes 5. So in this way we count the entire programming code, we count the entire number of instructions that are present in the programming code, and then on the basis of those instructions we will calculate the LOC, that is the line of code. Now these are the various advantages and disadvantages of LOC. First we will discuss the advantages. The first advantage is it is simple to use. Second, it is easy to compute, we can easily calculate it. Then the third one is estimation is closer to developers' perspective. That means they have a rough idea about that what will be the LOC based on the programming code. Now these LOC, they have certain disadvantages also. The first one is it is language dependent. Second, problem specification is difficult, because in this case the estimation of accurate LOC is only possible once the complete code has been developed. So initially we cannot determine it. Then the third one is in this cannot require the same efforts, or it is difficult to estimate the efforts required, because different source files, they can have the different number of lines, or you can say that they have a different LOC. So it is very much a complex logic to determine the effort based on this LOC. Now the second estimation technique is the function point. We can also call it as a function count. Function point measures the functionality from the user's point of view, that is on the basis of what the user requests and receives in return. It deals with the functionality being delivered and not with the lines of code, source modules, files, etc. That means this function point, it measures the functionality that is provided by the system and what the user is getting from the system. In LOC, what we were doing, we were just calculating the number of instructions, we were just counting the number of statements that were present in the source code. But in case of this function point, we will not calculate the lines of code, or we will not compute the lines of code. We will see, or we will measure it with the help of functionalities from the user's point of view and what the user is getting in return from the system by providing the output, that what the user is getting the output from the system. Now this function point, it is decomposed into these functional units. These 5 major components are known as the functional units. The first one is the inputs. Inputs means the information that is entering into the system. Then the second is output. Output is the information, or you can say the result that is leaving the system, or that the user is getting from the system. Then the third is inquiries. Inquiries means the request for instant access to information, that the user is providing request or to access some information from the system. Then the next one is internal logical files. That means all the information or all the files that are held within the system. Then we have the external interface files. That means those files, or you can say those information that are held by other systems and they are being used by the current system for being doing the analysis. So these are the functionalities on the basis of which we will calculate the functionality that the user is getting from the system. Now this is the diagram of the functional units for the function point. As you can see, the user is interacting with the system with the help of providing the inputs, and in return it is getting the output from the system. The ILF and EIF, these are the internal logical files and external interfaces. Internal logical files that are residing inside the system, and the user is inquiring the ILF from the system, that is getting access to the information. And EIF is the external interface files, that is the files that are residing on other applications, and this system, it is interacting with other applications to get the access to those files, to get access to those external files. So this is all the functional units, they are interacting with each other and getting inputs and returning the output in return. Now these functional units of the function point, they are categorized into 2 basic types. That is, first one is the data function types, which includes the internal logical files, external interfaces files, and the second one is the transactional functional types, which includes the external inputs, the external output, and external inquiries. We have already discussed about these functional units, that internal logical files which is residing inside the the system. External interfaces are the files that are residing in the other applications, and this system is accessing those files. External inputs are the input that the user is providing to the system. External output are the output that is the system that is the information leaving the system, and external inquiries are the inquiries that are provided to get access to the information. Now these are the formulas that we use to calculate the function point for our software parameters. In this table you can see that the functional units are the 5 parameters. These are the 5 measurement parameters, that is the external input, external output, external inquiries, internal logical files and external interface files. These are all the measurement parameters that we use to compute the size of the software product, and each of these functional units, they are provided the rating as low, average and high according to their complexities. Now we have several advantages and disadvantages of function point as well. The first we'll discuss the advantages. Advantages is the first one, it can be easily used in the early stages of project planning. That means we can use it in the initial phases of the development process and to calculate the size of the product. Then the second is, it is independent of the programming language. As we have seen in LOC, it is programming language dependent, and it shows different output for different programming languages. But in case of this function point, it is independent of these programming languages. But the disadvantage is that it is not good for real-time systems and most of the embedded systems. Now these are the important questions that can be framed based on the today's session. The first one is, why software project planning is important in the development process. In this question you have to explain what is software project planning and why it is important with its various objectives and goals. Then the second question is, how size estimation techniques are used to estimate the size of a software product. In this question you have to explain both the software estimation techniques like lines of code, LOC and function point, and you have to explain how each one of their technique is used to calculate the product size. So students, now we are ending this session after discussing these size estimation and various estimation techniques like LOC and function point. In the next session, we will continue with the cost estimation techniques like COCOMO model and risk analysis. I hope you have understood the concepts well and the session was helpful for you all. So thank you so much for watching.